I was curing the nation on proper etiquette on tea drinking this morning, whereas you get a tea bag, it can only be Yorkshire tea, that is the superior in all of tea bags. You then put it in a cup, you then put in the hot water, and then you put in the milk. You do never put in the milk first. If you do, this will be classed as heresy and you'll be booted out of Great Britain. Anyway, that got me thinking, is it possible to build a functional railgun in No Man's Sky? Buyers, you cannot have it shoot you into space. It's not an orbital cannon, it is a railgun, and it needs to shoot you in a straight line with a slight degree of accuracy and predictability. So let's get into today's video. So first of all, what we need to do is build ourselves a platform. It needs to be a raised platform off the ground, so then like terrain generation doesn't end up putting a bush randomly in the middle of your structure. So we're going to get this slightly raised, and then we need to start putting down some power. And power we have got copious amounts of power. So we're going to basically be using these to power teleporters that are spammed in a certain way in order to give us forward momentum. This is going to be the key to our secret sauce. So first of all, I need to try and figure out if having too many teleporters just pings you up into space, which is something that we don't want, because with it being obviously a railgun, we need to shoot it as straight as possible and not just yeet you in a random direction. And then the next thing, and probably the most crucial thing, is going to be dialing in exactly how many teleporters we need and in what kind of distance that we need as well, in order to carry on that forward momentum and to shoot us in a straight enough line. This is going to be a very big challenge. So for the very first kind of trial run here, I've gone ahead and I've placed teleporters either side, and there are 10 spammed in each location. Now, as you can see, the only thing it does is shoot us in the air, and it's acting more like an orbital cannon rather than a straightforward railgun. So placement definitely seems to be an issue, and also tweaking the amount of teleporters spammed in each location will probably net some different results as well. So we need to go back and play with what we've got and see what we can come up with. After 3 arduous hours of trial and error, I think I've come up with a very good solution. So the first hour was basically me banging my head against the table repeatedly, trying to figure out why every time I went through a teleporter, no matter what configuration I tried, it was just yeeting me into space, and that's not something I wanted. So it seems to be that barrel length does matter dramatically, and how many teleporters that you use in series matters as well. So I've managed to get it down to where there's about 10 teleporters spammed in each rung of the teleporter train, and then at the very first lot of teleporters is what makes the biggest difference. So the first rung of teleporters, the first 2 that go in series to push you forward, there is actually 20 teleporters in them, and that seems to be the trick of getting that first initial boost that will then go ahead and yeet you forward, and then it'll carry on down the train accordingly. So that seems to be it completely working in regards to that. However, I did notice that on maybe 1 out of every 10 jumps at this current fit configuration, it does only push a very small partial way forward, but it's still pushing you forward. So I do need to try and figure out why that's happening and then fix it. Now, the next part to this is building some kind of loading mechanism to where I can fire a projectile from point A to point B. Now, the whole idea that I have is to have an item placed on the inside with a floor just right here, and it'll have it just like trapped within these 4 walls, and then I'll delete the floor itself. That will drop the item, and then that will fire then a projectile. So it's almost like gravity loading, if you will, where you can put anything at the top and it'll fall down, and then it'll just fire away. That's the general idea anyway. So stability started to come into question, and basically no matter what I did, every time I tried to load into the game, it would essentially just completely stall my game. It just wouldn't even load for me, and then when I did manage to get in, I got maybe 2 feet and the game would crash again. So I've had to go ahead and delete my visual mods, so I'm back to complete vanilla gameplay when it comes to visualizations, and that seems to increase the stability quite dramatically. So now I can get to... Okay, never mind. It's crashed again.
Damn it! It never gets any easier!
After another hour or so of tinkering about with the design and wanting to commit Sudoku, I finally managed to figure out what the actual problem was with the game crashing constantly. First of all, I got rid of my visualization mods. I turned down the game settings on top of that in order to give this engine of No Man's Sky, because essentially we were just maxing it out and pushing No Man's Sky to its absolute limits with what we were trying to do here. The next thing I did was dehook the power and the actual like link between the two teleporter chains. So then the idea was that everything would load in with me, and then I would connect everything up, so then the game didn't have to do any more extra work than what was required. So when I came into the game, I would just hook it up myself manually, and that seemed to stop all crashing issues going forward, which was very nice. Now we need to try and catch some balls. So I've just had a brainwave. Basically what would happen is I would fire a projectile that would then go forward to a very like known position, because it doesn't particularly change on where I land to where a projectile would land. So once it kind of goes through the teleporter, it should be on the opposite side. However, as you can see, when I go through this teleporter and I've built a platform to where I would land each and every time, I've got it dialed down now to a T, there is no balls that have been placed. Now, my theory behind this is because I'm physically not there, thus all this area technically, even though I can see it from the platform, is not technically rendered in. Plus that there's a bunch of case systems all around. So what my theory behind it is, basically you fire a projectile and it is landing there, but it's going through the floor because there's nothing technically here for that projectile. It's only, the game is only rendered in when I'm here. So how am I going to get around this problem? Now, obviously, if I had a friend, I don't have any friends, that was stood in this exact location, they would be absolutely blasted in the face with a ball. However, because I'm doing this solely now, I need to come up with a way on how I can prove the concept and my theory of the reason to why the ball was disappearing. And I think I've come up with just the solution. So I'm not going to edit any of this out, just so that you can see me figure this out real time. And I think I've got it. So essentially what needs to happen is, when I press a ball to go into the device, I need to quickly jump through the teleporter as well, so then it loads in. And as you can see, 100% that was my theory, and it worked out beautifully. So the game will only load in what is around me, and another object, it doesn't matter, it won't load in, it'll just kind of go through the ground. So it is a proof of concept that the railgun does work. It does fire forward, and it does give a predictable projectile course. I just need to kind of go along with it, unless there was somebody else stood in my exact position that would just basically be yeeted away by a flying ball. But I hope that makes sense. But anyway, guys, there you go. That is one functional railgun in No Man's Sky. I am going to literally go and cry in a corner now and just get PTSD for the next 20 to 30 minutes about what I've just had to do to get this bloody thing working. Anyway, guys, that's everything from me here today, and as always, my name is Professor Cynical, and I'll catch you all again in the next one. Bye for now.